It has taken us a while to get here, but I think it's very important to understand the entire process. Again, I'm trying to do things in a different format than what we have done in our typical residential and commercial Revit courses, so you can see other sides to how the software can be utilized. I think we are finally ready to get started on the precast. One thing I do want to say is we are not going to do the entire building, because I just want to open your eyes and let you see how this add-on software can work, and you're going to be amazed when we get to the shop drawing process of how it is so simplified. So let's get started. So we are going to continue in our model now that we have our bearing walls set, our roof set, our walls set. We've got some doors and windows in there. Again, it's a very simplified building, but I don't want it to be too complicated for what we're going to do. We're going to start with the roof and start putting in the precast panels for the roof. So you should have some tools over here. I don't know exactly how yours is going to look because I've played around with mine quite a bit, and I may have added some things into mine that yours does not have. So where we want to start is with the precast concrete. Once we go into precast concrete, then we can start doing some things from this point. Since I am learning the software with you as we go along, I realize something that we need to change. We need to change our roof to actually be floors, because that's how the program recognizes it. So that's the first thing we need to do, is we need to delete our roofs. I'm going to go to my 3D view to make sure that I did do that correctly, and I did. So now I'm going to go back to my roof layer, and I'm actually going to put in floors. So I'm going to go to floor, and I'm going to go to floor structural, and I want to change this, and we're going to go with a 6-inch concrete. And now I'm going to pick my walls. And it's going to be easier to go ahead and move this to where it's centered over here and do these as two separate roofs. We can actually take care of that in the program, but I think it's easier just to go ahead and separate those roofs at this point. So now I have this center roof, and I want it to be at, from the roof layer, since I did 6 inches, I want that to be 6-inch offset, so that it sits on top of my beam. I'm going to click on my check mark, and I want to say no. So I do want to check this to make sure it did do what I wanted it to do. So I'm actually going to flip the direction of that, and I'm going to click on my section, and you'll see that it set it on top of my beam, which is what I want, and it's inside my walls, which is what I want. All right, so I'm going to go back to my roof plan, and I'm going to go ahead and do that for this roof. And again, I'm going to come halfway over. I'm going to create this floor slab and this floor slab. So I'm going to pause my video at this point and go ahead and do those floors in the same way that I just did that. Now that I have completed all my floors, or what we're going to use to make our roofs with, again, I separated these two because it just makes it a little bit easier. So we're going to begin with our precast, and we're going to go to floor panel layout, and we want to go to floor supports. So now I can add supports. So what I want to do is pick my walls, each one of these support walls, and I need to pick my beam. Now that I have selected all of my supports, so now I'm ready to start using my tools to create my panels for this portion of my roof. So I'm going to go here to create, modify up here at the top. You can use these tools as well as the other toolbar. So I'm going to go to panel layout, and I need to create my panel layout settings. And for that, I'm going to leave this because I'll have to possibly adjust that. I'm going to leave the spacing here at 4 feet, and I want to do split by maximum spacing. That way it will split all the panels evenly, but they will not go over 4 feet, but it will also not leave little slivers at the ends. So I'm going to go ahead and say save, and then I should be able to create panel layout for floors face, and I'm going to pick this one over here. And you can see they're running the wrong direction. So I want to go to modify panel layout. You'll see this now changed to 3 foot 9 and 1/8. So that made them all equal based on the maximum of 4 feet. So I want to change this to split vertically and do modify. And now they have turned the correct direction. So now I'm ready to start creating these panels. So I'm going to go to create panels, and I'm going to go to panel settings. In my panel settings, I have unassigned, structural wall, structural framing, and grid. Basically, they pretty much have all of the same settings on there. There are just some actual parameters that I can go in and set. I'm going to leave my end cantilevers at 7, and I'm going to go here, and I want to make sure this says generic 12 inches. And then I want to pick my HCS of 12. HCS stands for hollow core slab. So again, I want to pick that. I want to make sure I have a check mark and insert holes, because what that slab does, it actually has holes in it so that it can not weigh as much but also still be structural. We actually saw some of those in one of the videos at the plant tour. And I want to again pick generic here, and I want to do offset from level of -3 inches, and I'm going to say save. Next, I'm going to go create panels for floors face, and I'm going to click on one of these, and it should create my panels for me like I want them to be. So I'm going to go to my section, and now you can see I have my structure in there, and you'll see that the slabs are 12 inches thick and they have the holes in them. Right now I have my floor slab on top of that, and so I would want to move that to be on top of that structure. So now if I go back to my 3D view, you'll see I have those on here. We're going to do the next area, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go to create, modify, and I want to check my panel layout. I basically want it to stay the same because I want it to match over here. And I'm going to go to split vertically this time, and I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to create panel layout, and they are going in the direction that I want them to. Now I am ready to do my create panels. So I'm going to go to create panels, and I'm going to go to panel settings, and again they should still be set the way they were before, and I'm going to just hit save. And then I'm going to do create panels for floor space, and hopefully it will create the same thing. So now I'm going to go back to my level 2 plan, and I want to move this section mark over now, and I'm going to go to that section, and it did create it the way that I wanted it to. Again, I need to move my slab up, so I'm going to move that up, and that all looks good. So now I'm going to go back to my 3D view. So now I have my structure and my slab for my roof over here. At this point, I could go in and I could actually do the same structure in these two areas, or I could even change it to a different one. If I go into create panels and go to panel settings, if I wanted to, I could change these to double T's, or some other sort of type of precast panel that I have already set up into my template. But due to the sake of time, we are not going to go ahead and do these other roofs, because I think you have an idea now of how to do this. The next video will be on how to create the individual precast wall panels. Then once we do that, we'll go into the shop drawing process.